Hello everyone, I'm Wave, and today I'm going to be talking about Lamune, which is a visual novel that I finished up reading not too long ago, and ended up far exceeding my expectations for what I thought was just going to be a typical rom-com. So, let's get into it. Lamune is pretty interesting in that when you start up the game, Common Route's going to be fairly brief. I would say it's probably like at max, maybe 2 hours long. But I actually like how they do Common Route in that you start out as the main character as a kid, moving into the town, and then there's a very quick passage of time leading to like a year or so later when they're accustomed to living in the town, and they live out that time. You end up meeting most of the characters that are going to be important throughout the story, and you end up either building a relationship with maybe a character that you don't know, or the characters that the main protagonist already does know ends up straining those relationships. And then after the opening sequence plays, you skip forward with time skip a couple years later down the line, and now you're on to whatever designated route that your choices led you to. For the most part for Lamune, I feel like it is pretty standard. A lot of it does feel like just the most laid back slice of life rom-com that you could imagine, and I think that's actually pretty solid for what it is. I would say Lamune is like the perfect summer game in that it does encapsulate that time of year pretty well. However, I do also like that as you progress through each of the 4 character routes, you will experience a very stark shift in tone to where things become much more serious. And another thing I will say about all 4 of the character routes that are available is that it almost feels more grounded. Each of the 4 heroines have a certain item, a physical item or object that correlates to the route, whether it's something that moves the plot forward, or is something that signifies something about their character, or a trait. And I think the way that they do it with having a physical object does just really ground each route and make it more tangible. For Lamune's soundtrack, I do think the instrumentation that they used, and being the game that does encapsulate those summer vibes, I do think that they made very good use of the instrumentation, in that a lot of the soundtrack that you will hear does either fall on the side of being very laid back or being more energetic. The writing sense throughout the game does follow that same way of thinking, in that a lot of the characters and just a lot of the action throughout earlier portions of the game does fall in line with the very almost over the top kind of dramatized comedy, and also just in the way the characters are very laid back, very much just enjoying what is happening in the moment. And that actually does lead into how the story progresses, in that you can only really live with what you have now, and you have to enjoy it in the moment, because at any moment what you have could disappear. Overall, I had a very enjoyable time reading Lamune. I went into it thinking it was just going to be something that was very cut and dry, standard rom-com fare, and it ended up impressing me with the way the story kind of unfolds. Lamune is a game that isn't translated, so it is something that if you were thinking about reading it, you're gonna have to look into it. I had to read it with text tractor, but I think it is worth the read. Let me know what you guys think about that. I was trying to not do reviews on games that aren't available in English or readily available in English, but I don't know, I figured I would change it up for once, just because I am reading some visual novels, and every once in a while I'll read one that I think is actually quite interesting, and kind of sucks that it isn't readily available for a broader audience. So let me know if you are fine with me doing reviews of more non-localized or translated games. Anyways, I've been Wave. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.